hope and praise and love. For blessings which He gives me now, for joy and love above. Oh, the sunshine, blessed sunshine, when the peaceful, happy moments roll, when Jesus shows His smiling face, there is sunshine in the soul.
For years, and he had business in Raleigh and rented a car and went up there, and we just had a big time.
That's good. We're glad to have you back with us. Tonight, Sister Osborne has decided to strum the guitar, and we're going to have a little sing-along here tonight, and just kind of a good time. And I've kind of asked Brother Ed and Sister Osborne to try to head this up tonight, since I don't know anything about music, only that I do enjoy this kind of a event. And as to what's going to happen now for the next 2 weeks, they all moved out. It was out to the zoo one day, and Joan, she was watching these apes, and they had these little apes, and they were so affectionate with each other, and they played so cute, and she says, you know, they're just like kids. She says, well, they are. Watch it. And she, well, they looked at him, she says, you know, I wonder if they'd let you adopt one of them. And so, I don't think so. Anyhow, the zoo attendant come by, and she asked him, and he says, well, let me talk to my boss. He says, we're a little heavy on apes right now here at the zoo. He says, we just might do that. So they talked to him, and he arranged it, and he says, sure enough, they got this little ape. They took him home, and they raised him, took him right in the house, and he was just cute, and they named him Clyde. And they'd take him down to the Senior Citizen Center with him, and everybody just loved Clyde. And gee, they learned him so that he could answer questions by just a yes or no. Just really quite an intelligent ape. And anyhow, they were going to go on a trip, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, with the senior citizens down to Houston, Texas, to the Senior Citizens Convention is having down there. And there was 50 of them, and they were going to go on this bus. They had chartered it. I said, no way I can go on this trip. And he said, well, then I won't go either. She said, no, we've already got our ticket. She said, why don't you take Clyde with you? She says, you know, everybody down there likes Clyde. And she said, they'd be glad to have him on it. So he went and asked him, and they said, oh, yes, bring Clyde by all means. So they did. And about 2 days later, she got a phone call. And it was a highway patrolman. And he said, are you Mrs. Jones? She said, yes. And he says, have a husband named Charlie? She said, yes. And was he with a bunch of senior citizens going into Texas? And she said, sure was. He said, well, I hate to give you this news, but she said, we've had the worst accident we've ever had in the history of our county down here. That bus went off the road. And he said, we don't know how fast it must have been going when it went off the road. It missed a turn going down a little grade. And he said, everybody on it was killed. Your husband was killed. She said, oh, dear, you mean everybody was killed? He says, yeah, everybody was killed. And he says, we sure wish we had a witness or somebody that could tell us something about it. He said, there just wasn't anybody there saw it or anything. He says, that bus was scattered for a half a block. And he says, there was one there. He says, we don't know where it come from, but he says there was this gorilla at the scene. And he says, he just kind of stunned. And she says, oh, that's Clyde. And he said, who? It's who? And she says, that's Clyde. She says, he was just like our son, and he was with my husband on this trip. And she says, oh, she says, I haven't got anything left. I'd sure appreciate it if I could get Clyde back. And she says, in fact, he's pretty smart. She says, you know, if you brought him up here, she said, I wouldn't be surprised after a day or so he could tell us what happened on that. And he says, well, we'll do that. He said, I'll bring my deputy and we'll bring that ape up and if you'll see if you can find out. So they brought that ape back up. And after having him a day, he settled down, got the deputy in there and the police chief and said, she says, Clyde, you was in a bad accident, wasn't you, in the bus? She says, Clyde, what was happening on the bus? She says, you mean they was smoking on the bus? And he says, and he says, he wrote it down, and she says, is anything else happening? She says, you mean they was drinking on the bus? She says, you mean they was smoking and drinking and going down the road in the bus? And he says, Clyde, was they doing anything else? She says, they was dancing? She says, you mean they was smoking and drinking and dancing and going down the road in this bus? She says, oh, Clyde, you poor darling, she said, and had him, and then she looked at him, she says, Clyde, what was you doing all the time they was doing this?
Driving.
For sure. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Mr. Osborne, since we've been going to the temple and having prayer meeting, I've asked them to sing Shall We Gather at the River. And nobody will ever sing it as the opening song. I'm so glad you got it in here.
You will sing that first?
Thank you.
It's really more late.
I got to see
Watkins, but I don't tell her.
Aren't you going to
We don't know what we're going to do. We don't know what you're going to do, so we all should be even. I have a small harmonica here that I was the first place in the Possum Trot, Lee County, Possum Trot Road Quartet. I was number one, so when you hear me, you have an idea what the worst one was. Also, when I was
You want to do
back in
it?
1991, we'll start
Yeah,
strumming.
you have to keep your hand on it.
Why
don't you sit here and do it? I really don't care.
Sit up and say, did you
How
sign
we
this?
gather at the
Sit
river.
there and do it.
Did you sign this? You not?
If the red flag gets mints first. I think that'll help this thing start growing.
I won't have mine.
Sister Larry,
You won't have
The beautiful,
I can't hear.
Soon our pilgrimage will cease. Soon our happy hearts will quiver with the melody of peace. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful river. Gather with the saints and all Rome, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. On the range of play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Light from the glittering star, have I stood there amazed and asked as I gazed, if their glory exceeds at all home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Hope is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day.
That was beautiful, you all turned behind.
I think that song you always
Lynn,
sing.
if you would play a song,
That
I'll
you used to
sing.
sing to the, that you used to sing to your kids.
When I think that God His Son not sparing, sent Him to die, I scarce can take it in, that on the cross my burdens gladly bearing, He bled and died to take away my sin. And sings my soul, my Savior God, to Thee. How great Thou art! How great Thou art! Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to Thee. How great Thou art! How great Thou art! When Christ shall art, how great Thou art! Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to Thee. How great Thou art! How great Thou art! Sweet love, a sign from above, on the wings of a dove. When Noah had drifted on the flood many days, he searched for the land in various ways.
Waterbed.
Waterbed.
After supper, we'll sit around the fire, the old folks sit and cheer. Pa would talk about the farm and the war, and Granny sing a ballad or two. We'd sit and listen, watch the fire till the cobwebs filled her hair. Next thing you know, we'd wake up in the middle of Grandma's waterbed. It was 9 feet high, 6 feet wide, soft as an alley chick. It was made from the water of 10-color lake. Take the whole boat of plastic for the kick. It would hold 8 kids and 4 hound dogs and a piggy we stole from the shed. We didn't get much sleep, but we had a lot of fun on Grandpa's waterbed. Candy kisses, wrapped in paper.
This way or that one? Make it louder.
When you whisper those sweet love words in my ear, candy kisses wrapped in paper mean more to you than my new year. I built a castle out of dreams, dear. I know that you were building now my castle all have fallen, and I am left alone and blue.
Are you sure?
Oh, got oil.
What's that? Oh, really?
I'm back in the saddle.
Why don't you start on the first page and sing them all?
Well, we may have a little problem there.
Well, somebody start them off and sing.
Working on the
Railroad all the livelong day. I've been working on the railroad just to pass the time away. Don't you hear the whistle blowing? Right up to work in the morning. When you hear the captain shouting, Dinah, blow your horn. Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow your horn? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow? Dinah, won't you blow your horn? Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Strumming on the old banjo. Fee-fi, fiddly-I-o. Fee-fi, fiddly-I-o. Fee-fi, fiddly-I-o. Strumming on the old banjo.
You just repeat what I sing there, okay?
Bill Grogan's song.
Bill Gorgons go. Was feeling fun. A free red shirt. From off the line. Bill took a stick. Gave him a whack. And tied him to the railroad track.
except old Shorty, and I called old Shorty too. And me and Pa started out down through that pasture after them dogs, and they found a trail of a possum, and all the barking and hollering and going on, me and Pa and them dogs done you never heard tell of it before. And while them dogs treed that possum up an apple tree what had Simmons in it. And me and Pa got over there, and them dogs was still yapping and taking on, and we throwed rocks up there and tried to knock that possum out of the tree, and we just couldn't make no headway with it. And finally Pa said, if you don't care, you can climb that apple tree and get them Simmons down that possum. So I clammed and I clammed and I clammed and I clammed, and all at once I fell out that tree. And all them dogs piled on me except old Shorty, and old Shorty piled on me too. And I asked my Pa if he didn't mind, he'd get a stick or something, or something or another, and get them dogs off of me. Well, he knocked and he railed and he trailed, and he finally knocked that one of them dogs off me except old Shorty. Well, I told Pa right then and there I was through with possum hunting. I was going over Moonlight Valley to see old Sal. Old Sal, she live over at the end of nowhere, and the further you get, the worse it is, and she lives slam on over behind that. So I went out up to the barn and cussed out the buggy and hushed the mule behind it, and started out down that road. And it come the most terrible rain you ever hear tell of in your life, and that mule threw me out in the field in the middle of the road up to my neck in mud. Well, I got up and brushed the mule off and went on down the road. I got inside of old Sal's house, and I know she wasn't at home because all the doors was raised and the windows was open. Well, I went on in the house and sat down on a three-legged stool to wait on Sal. Went on the bed and threw my hat over in the fireplace and sat down on the three-legged stool to wait on Sal. And after a while, that gal came in. She had a little bitty woman. She had weighed about 499 pounds and a half. And we sat there and talked about politics and bed ticks and every other kind of tick we could think about until old Sal, she got hungry. And she told me if I didn't mind, we'd go down to the peach orchard and get some apples and make a banana pudding. I told her that suited me fine because I sure did like cherry pie. So we went off down that road, her on one side and me on the other, and we got down that peach orchard to get them apples and make that cherry pie. And Sal told me, if you don't care, you're going to have to climb that tree and get them peaches. I said, okay, I will. I climbed and I climbed and I climbed and I climbed, and first thing I knew, I fell out of that tree right straddled a barbed wire fence, both feet on the same side. I got up and come to myself, and I told old Sal I was through with Moonlight Valley, and I ain't seen that gal since. Well, I got one more. This boy was in school, and he just was about the dumbest fellow that ever come to school, and it was graduation time, and they told him if he could answer 2 questions right, they just got one of them right, they would give him a diploma. They asked him, said, well, how many days in the week starts with a T? He said, 2. Said, what are they? He said, today and tomorrow. And they said to him, they said, well, here's the blackboard. We want you to figure out how many seconds there are in a year. He said, that's easy. It's 12. He said, what are you talking about? He said, January 2nd, February 2nd, March 2nd.
I don't know about you.
Well, I promised my friends I'd behave myself, but I just got shaky. I gotta have a different chair.
Here's one.
Yeah, that'd be. I promised them I wouldn't embarrass them.
Who's your friends in here?
Two that's already seen this stuff. Let me see. Let me tell you a little bit about this story first off. There was this young girl,
Talk loud.
southern state.
Talk loud,
It
tell
could
her.
have been Oklahoma, it could have been Mississippi or Tennessee or Georgia. I don't know where she came from. But she graduated from high school, and she decided she's tired of that little town she lived in. and she was going to Detroit City and get her a job. So she gets on the bus and she takes off. She's never been away from this little town, and she didn't know nothing about travel. She said finally she gets to Detroit City after a bus trip, and she says, you've never seen like the cars and the traffic in all of your life. So she finally walks up to General Motors' door, knocks on the door, and she says, this huzzy come out. What do you want? And she says, I came up here to get me a job in an automobile factory. And she says, well, come on. So she went in. And the lady says, well, you'll have to fill out this application. First off, you have to fill out this application. So she sits down there and she fills out this application. And turned around and she said to that woman, she said, my mom and daddy ain't going to get this job. My mom and daddy don't know it. What business is it yours what my mom and daddy's name? And I'm sure not telling you how much I weigh. Just forget that. I'm not telling you how much I weigh. And now how tall I am. All I want is I want a job in an automobile factory. So the lady says, well, sit down over here and I'll call the manager or the boss man and have him come and talk to you. So he comes in and says, I understand you want a job. She said, I sure do. I come up here to go to work, and that's just exactly what I'm going to do. And he said, well, come out here and I will show you what we want you to do. So he said, you see this chair over here? He said, all I want you to do is sit down in this chair, and then I'll tell you what you're going to do. So she sits down in the chair. He said, you see this line of here in front of you where the cars come by? He said, all I want you to do is sit in this chair. And if that car comes by, I want you to hit this lever over here. And that throws this little contraption up here, and it screws all those nuts on that back tire at the same time. Right? She says, I can do that. So she started, pretty good job. $3.50 an hour, sit down job. Not bad at all. Just graduated from high school. She sits there and see that car comes by here and you screw that door off, you gotta slam that door. So she said, all right. She said, screws and slamming doors. She said, oh, it takes just a little bit of rhythm. Get some rhythm going here. A few days he comes back and he says, Emmy Lou, we gotta speed up production. He said, that front door up there, it's got to be screwed and shut too. Okay. So she's screwing these screws, slamming the doors, and screwing screws and slamming the doors, and she's all takes a little bit of rhythm. Rhythm going. Sit down, job, $4 an hour. Work at this. Well, my feeling's hard when I get home. At least I'm not staying home. So she just keeps on working, and in a few days, her boss comes back. And he says, we got to speed up production. Now, just 1 minute, boss man. How in the world do you expect me to shine that hood?
The husband got killed. And he went on up. St. Peter knocked on. St. Peter, let me in. I've been a good man. St. Peter said, wait just a minute. He said, let me look through the book. He looked through the book. He said, yeah, you've been pretty good. He said, me, you spell one word. He said, okay, I'm pretty good at spelling. I'm ciphering, I do that. He said, spell love. St. Peter told him. The man said, okay, I'll do the L-O-V-E. Okay? St. Peter said, come on in here. He got inside the gate, shut the gate, and St. Peter's pager went off. And he told that man, says, you wait right here, sit down at this desk, and I got to go sit out this call, and I'll be right back, and I'll talk to you about heaven. So he went off, and the man was sitting there, just in a few minutes, here comes somebody else, his wife. He said, well, what are you doing here? He said, she told him, said, well, you got killed, didn't have any insurance, no money, nothing. I just had a breakdown and died. Now I'm here. He said, she said, let me in. He said, well, I have to look in the book. He looked in the book, said, yeah, you was a pretty good wife, pretty good woman. He said, but I need you to spell one word. She said, okay, I can do that. She said, what is? He said, Czechoslovakia.
When I'm a little old lady, then I'll live with my children and bring them great joy, to repay all I've had from each girl and boy. I shall draw on the walls and scuff up the floor. I'll run in and out without closing the door. I'll hide frogs in the pantry and socks under my bed, and whenever they scold me, I'll just hang my head. I'll run and I'll romp, always fritter away, the time to be spent doing chores every day. I'll pester my children when they're on the phone. As long as they're busy, I won't leave them alone. I'll hide candy in the closet and rocks in a drawer, and never pick up my clothes off the floor. I'll dash off to the movies and not wash a dish. I'll plead for allowance whenever I wish. I'll stuff up the plumbing and deluge the floor, and as soon as they've mopped it, I'll flood it some more. And when they correct me, I'll lie down and cry, kicking and screaming, not a tear in my eye. I'll take all their pencils and their flashlights, and then, when they buy new ones, I'll take them again. I'll spill glasses of milk to complete every meal. I'll eat my banana and I'll just drop the peel. I'll put toys on the table and spill jam on the floor. I'll break lots of dishes as though I were 4. What fun I shall have, what a joy it will be to live with my children like they lived with me.
Hey!
We might not be invited.
Well, they got us no matter what.
This is Ulysses that was F.
Yeah.
It's called Grandpap's Creed, or Don't Be a Politician. Now you listen to me, young feller, when I say you've always got 2 sides. That's God's law, and forever get it hard,